Alright, today's notes we're learning about rate of change, which is also the same thing as slope. And so remember our slope, little phrase we have for slope is rise over run. That's how we find and calculate slope, is we find the rise and we put it over the run. Now what's super important, so I'm going to star it and circle it because it's really important, is we always have to read the graph, read our line from left to right, just like we read a book. So that's really important to note in your notes there, that we must read it from left to right. Okay, so if you have a line that looks like this, if I read this from left to right, see how my pen goes up? So that means it will have a positive slope, because the line is increasing. Slope will be positive. So when your line is going down, so if I go from left to right, my pen goes down, that means the slope will be negative. Now that may sound simple and basic, but so many times I have students calculate the slope of a line going down and they'll say it's positive. So you really got to be careful and check that. Now if a line is completely flat, its slope is 0. There is no incline or decline, it's just flat, slope of 0. And lastly, if it's going straight up and down, that actually doesn't have a slope. It's called undefined, because that isn't even a function. Remember, that would not pass our vertical line test, so it is undefined. There is no slope there. Okay, and a couple of questions. We're going to find the rise, the run, and then calculate the slope. Okay, so for number 1 here, I'm going to draw our graph. If you're copying this graph in your notes, make sure that your line goes through -2 here on the y, and it goes through 3 here on the x, and then connect that with a straight line. Then you'll have the same graph. So to find our rise, remember so what you do to find slope or any of these is you just pick 2 points. You can choose any 2 points you want. Any 2 points. So I'm going to choose these 2 points because they look nice and easy. And when you choose these 2 points, you have to read it from left to right. That's what's super important, is we go from left to right. So from this point to this point, left to right, the rise is how far up and down. I have to go up 1, 2. So here I go up 2. So my rise is 2. The run is how far over do you go. So after I move up 2, how far over? So I see how many times I have to move my pen. 1, 2, 3. So I had to go over 3. Since I'm going to the right, it's positive. And your run will always be positive. Because we go from left to right, the run is always positive. So then our slope is that fraction, the rise 2 over the run 3. So our slope is 2/3. And double check, it's a positive slope. The line is increasing, so it should be positive. There's our slope. Okay, so you can pause the video and draw our second graph. This coordinate point is at -1, 3, and the second coordinate point is at 2, -3. So get those 2 dots there, and then with your straight edge, you can connect them to draw our new line here to find our slope. So we're first going to find the rise. So from left to right, how far up do you go? But we actually have to go down this time. So I'm going to count how many times I move my pen down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I had to go down 6. Since I had to go down, my rise is negative. It's decreasing. And then how far over? 1, 2, 3. I had to go over 3. The run is 3. Now you might wonder, how do I know? Well, we know that this is at 3, so you can use this if you need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I know this is at -3. This is at -1 and it goes over to 2, so we're moving over 1, 2, 3. So you might need to see where these coordinate points are at to help you count the rise over run. So then our slope is our rise, -6, over the run, 3. Now don't leave it like that. This one we can simplify. We can take -6 divided by 3 to get -2. So our slope is -2. Remember, the line's going down, so that's why our slope is negative. Okay, number 3, we have a horizontal line going through where y equals 2. There's a horizontal line, so you can pause it and graph that. And then to find the slope, you can choose any 2 points you want on here, whatever you want. I'm gonna choose this point and this point. It really doesn't matter, just choose any 2 points. Now instead of just believing me that the slope here is 0 and the slope here is undefined, I'm going to actually prove to you mathematically why that is the case. It's mathematically that reason. So we're starting with the rise. We read it from left to right. So how far up or down do I go? I don't move up or down at all. So the rise is 0. And then our run, how far over do we go? We always go to the right. 1, 2, 3. Our run will always be positive since we always go to the right. So therefore our slope, rise, is 0 over the run, which is 3. And 0 divided by 3 is 0. So there I just showed you mathematically the slope is 0. And if you're not sure what 0 divided by 3 is, because sometimes we get it mixed up, I'm going to just show you, remind you, 0 divided by 3 is indeed 0. Alright, now for number 4, I'm going to show you why the slope is undefined when it's a vertical line. So draw your graph so that your vertical line is going through -2 there on the x. And then we choose any 2 points that you want on the line. So I'm going to choose this one and this one. Any 2 points. So we start with the rise. How far up or down do we go? Reading left to right, there's not really left and right, so it doesn't matter which way you go, but so I can say my rise is 1, 2. I can say it's going down to -2, or if you started here, it would be +2. Either way would be correct in this case. And then the run, how far over do I go from here to here? You don't move over at all. The points are above each other and below. So my run is 0 since I don't go side to side. And here my slope equals then the rise -2 over the run 0. So what is -2 divided by 0? That's the question. Think about that. And now I'm going to show you what the calculator says. If I take -2 divided by 0, it says divide by 0 error. Because in math, you cannot divide by 0. Like, it's mathematically impossible to divide by 0. That's why it's called undefined. Since you cannot divide by 0, there is no slope, we say the word undefined. So all vertical lines have a slope of undefined. And now it's been shown mathematically, even the calculator agrees with me. So there's examples of how you find slope from a graph.